Yo, peace everybody. For the month of October, we're releasing a zine with REBOE titled Amo la Noche, documenting his graffiti in Paris and New York City, featuring Parisian writers Stays and SE, South LNE, Snen 7, and more. The zine, as well as a cash forward episode, is available only through our Patreon, with the money going to food drives we're going to be doing at Tompkins Square Park. We're going to be giving out hundreds of plant-based meals, as well as to-go bags of food to the hungry of downtown New York City. Super excited about this. So the first one is this Friday, October 8th from 4 to 6 p.m. The link to our Patreon is on our website, Instagram, and this episode's description. For those who don't know, last month we donated 6,000 meals to the LA Regional Food Bank with the help of Haler and all of our patrons. Immense thank you to everybody who supports us. Enjoy the episode. Peace. What's up, bro?
Thank you for coming out here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, so you were saying that you've never done an interview before, right?
No, this is my first time.
Oh, yeah?
First spotlight moment. Yeah.
Sick. Where are you from originally?
From Texas.
Oh, sick,
Yeah,
man. Oh, shit.
yeah.
I know a lot of people are moving there right now.
I know, right? Isn't that weird? But I guess a lot of my Texas friends are moving here, but we like it here a lot, so. But yeah, Texas is pretty cool, too.
Yeah, why did you move to New York?
It's just like the dream to live here, but more so for a job thing. I was trying to like chase my dreams at first with like the job career thing. It didn't really work out, and then like graffiti, it like kind of got back into graffiti. I guess I wasn't really doing graffiti for a few years actually, but yeah, once like the job shit wasn't working out, like the graffiti thing was. It just happened.
So you didn't move here because of graffiti?
No, definitely not.
I honestly assume that was why, because you kind of came here, you do a lot of spots, you do a lot of high spots, a lot of very visible, very high profile spots. So I'm like, oh, he probably moved here to just start crushing shit.
No, that was definitely not the plan. I mean, I was like pretty intimidated of New York for graffiti at first. I lived here for like a whole year without painting graffiti. I was like really nervous about it and scared and just like everything like socially and like actually doing it. I mean, it's just like I couldn't comprehend how to paint with so many people everywhere and so many cops.
Did you hear stories of like Vandal Squad and shit like that?
And that too. It's like plain clothes cops. Like I was just like, there's no fucking way. Like this sucks. And like at the same time, I cared about job stuff so much. I didn't want to like risk that too.
Was there a graph scene in Texas?
Yeah, there was. There was a sick graph scene in Austin and Houston too. I mean, everywhere actually has a sick graph scene, and they're all very different. And I don't know, like Texas definitely like has some heavy hitters. Growing up, like when I was a kid, like looking up to Next, and of course all like, you know, DTS and RTL in Houston, and then once I started going to school in Austin. Seeing like all like the more fun, funky, I guess, you know, like just more loose graffiti, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. Just those TCK dudes are like the coolest dudes, and me and my friends looked up to them, and I think that place kind of like shaped my style more. And I'd say Houston shaped like my more like, I guess, looking for spots, like looking how to get somewhere and climb somewhere and paint big and like, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. What's it like in terms of like authority out there? Like, do they take graffiti seriously? Is there a Vandal Squad out there?
No, not when I was there. I'm sure at some point they did. But like Houston, you know, it was pretty chill. Like after midnight, like there'd be no one out. So painting was pretty easy. It's just driving around and like figuring out spots, like planning things. Like I would drive from the suburbs, like it wasn't even like it was like a rural suburb. It was like I kind of lived in like the country sort of. It's like 45 minutes out, and I would go and pick my friend up who wrote Miyagi, and he was like my main partner, and he lived in another suburb. So I would be like 45 minutes to get him, and then 30 minutes into the city. So I'd have to sneak out of the house at midnight, and that process was very tough. My parents were light sleepers, and I drove my dad's truck actually, and that was pretty loud. So like I had to like really finesse it every single weekend to like sneak out, and the whole time I'm out, it's just scary as shit. Like I was more worried about my parents catching me than like cops. I didn't even think about cops actually.
Oh, your parents were super strict?
Yeah, they're, you know, first gen immigrant, like Asian parents, and sneaking out and doing graffiti was like.
Yeah, they don't want their son writing Lot 29.
Yeah, that was like, oh my god, like what the fuck. Like now they don't really give a fuck too much, but I feel like I've broken down graffiti them in a more digestible sense, why it's not that bad, and it's you know, it's fine. So, but that was Houston for me. Austin, I didn't have to sneak out anymore, but there was definitely way more cops, and it's like a smaller city and it's more condensed. Not like New York, but still, like people are out all hours of the night actually, lots of cars, and you're painting closer to the street. Whereas Houston, like you're painting off highways or you're climbing, and no one can really see you when you're painting. Austin was like I got the first taste of painting street side and catching tags, and that was like that's a different factor to it.
So in Houston, it's more of a thing to be climbing and shit like that?
Yeah, climbing and like painting off the highway. Like no one's gonna see you paint. If someone sees you paint, you're fucked. Actually, you gotta get out. But in Austin, it's like, actually, yeah, you probably don't want to get spotted either. But you still have to paint in front of people. But yeah, I guess Austin's sort of more like a New York vibe, and Houston's more like a LA vibe. But not really, not at all. But like if I had to pick,
Yeah, I mean, so then you came here and you lived here for a whole year before you started painting any graffiti.
Yeah, exactly. I was like way too shook to paint here.
Just because of the amount of people you kind of have to paint. I mean, you paint a lot of Manhattan, so
yeah,
you have to paint in front of people at that point.
Yeah, so at first, if I don't know if y'all noticed, but I didn't actually paint any street side for a while. Like I was only climbing. Like I didn't understand how you paint street side. And I just like refused to, and like I was just like I can't do that shit. The only way I'm gonna ever like paint something is if I climb to a spot, and climbing to a spot was tricky. I was like, okay, well, how do you climb to these spots? Like I had to get really creative. I bought a ladder. I have like ropes, and I take advantage of scaffolding a lot, and fire escapes and stuff like that. But like. Yeah, it's definitely a struggle to paint in New York, and it's a struggle to find good roofs. And it takes a lot of energy to find these spots and plan it out. So yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy because I feel like you do that all the time. I feel like you
Yeah.
find good spots all the time, man. I mean,
Well, thanks,
I'll be just
yeah.
walking around and I'll see a spot that randomly you did, and I'm like, yo, has that ledge always been there?
Yeah,
Like I'll just see spots and I'm like, yo, how did no one do this before?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was like a few really good spots where like a lot of friends pointed out to me, like friends that weren't planning on painting them, like that would visit me. Like, look at that spot. I'm like, oh my god, you're right. Look at that spot. So I gotta give them credit, but that kind of like gave me a mindset of things like, okay, well, that was possible. Like, what else is possible?
Yeah, I was gonna ask because I see. I was gonna ask if like other people influence you because I see you painting like Saddle a lot,
Dude,
Volvo,
yes.
like those. I'm sure they helped you out with like
Yes,
New York City.
absolutely. So I would credit Sato getting me into graffiti in New York City. Like, he's definitely like a king. I mean, give him a lot of credit for sure. I was just like skating at a park one day, and he kind of just showed up, and he's like, "Yo, like you're that dude." Like, like I remember, because I grew up I lived in Austin, right? And he's seen me there before, like at a skate park, and I was like, "Yeah, man, what's good?" Like, and he's like, "Dude, like you need to come paint graffiti, like now that you live here. This is like what I'm doing." And I'm like, "Yeah, maybe, but eventually he got me out of the house for sure, and yeah, a lot of credit goes to Sato for getting me out. But yeah, a lot of influence on my stuff. Like a lot of people definitely like have helped me like shape who I am, and so I want to give credit to them.
Yeah, your style is one of those things that as soon as you see it, you know that you're from somewhere else. And
Yeah.
the spots that you're hitting and just like the shape of your letters, it's just so strange. Like, where did you, like these influences just came straight from Texas?
Not really. A lot of my influence comes from my crew in EHC. So they're always kind of like, I don't know, like not exactly like letters or design, but more so just like thinking about spots and just being strategic and like planning and stuff. And my letters and stuff like that, I don't really think I have that great of letters, and I can't really like pick a certain style and stick to it. I always try and I get bored and try and figure out new things. But I think if I had to pick a certain aesthetic, I think my old roommate who writes double, and we were like good friends in college, like he put me onto a lot of good taste and graffiti and like clothes and design, whatever. And so I try and lean towards that area. But yeah, it was weird. when I started writing Lot29, which he gave me that name, by the way, it was like I was supposed to stick to a certain aesthetic. Like, it was supposed to be like a meme in a way. Like, I'm only gonna do Looney Tunes characters. I'm only painting monochrome, and I just wanted to do like chrome fills with like a little bit of black dust, and it had like everything had to be monochrome. But I didn't stick to it because I like soon found out that chrome like not that cool and it fades, and I was just like, these spots out here in New York are running at least a few months. Like, I can't be using chrome, and I just like kind of ditched the idea and just started doing regular whatever I wanted to do. Yeah.
When you go out to paint, like, do you have an eye on like one specific spot, or you just kind of wander around, or is it depends on the night in a way?
I have a list, and it's all like I definitely try and plan it out. I definitely try and like take a picture of the spot and then go home and think about, what would look good here. I think like this spot could look cool if I did these colors and these letters. And how much time now? I wonder how much time I have. Like, maybe I can do something really big, and or maybe I could like create some kind of like like a barricade or like something that like block the view of people. I like to do that.
Do you usually have lookouts for these high spots? Like, for example, the spot on Canal, you did like this old dusty billboard.
No, I had no lookout. It was like Friday night, raining. I was like feeling pretty bummed out. I was just like, man, my life sucks. Like, it's Friday. I'm not at a party. I'm just like at home watching TV. There's that fucking crazy billboard. Let's go fucking do it. Like, I think it's an easy climb. And like, I get there. It's like, I don't know, like 1 a.m. Like the worst time to paint in New York City.
You
on
think
a
so?
Friday night.
Yeah.
Maybe not, I don't know. Honestly, I can't figure it out with New York. Like, it's weird. But some nights are chill, some nights are not. And that night was not chill. There were like mad cops everywhere. Like, that's like cop, capital of cop. And I remember a cop just like U-turning like right in front of me in the middle of the street. And I was like, I'm not going home tonight. But yeah, no one saw me. It was weird. And I was shook. I painted super fast and I wanted to get out of there. You could tell. But yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it is still there. What
Yeah.
what has been your experiences with the law in New York? Have you gotten bagged here?
No, not at all. And I like don't want to find out what happened. I mean, I've heard like okay things. I've heard like it's not that big of a deal. But like at the same time, I'm just like, no, like I don't want to talk to these fools. Like these guys are like, probably not gonna be nice. I don't know. And yeah, just I don't know. I've gotten lucky. And like, to be honest, I don't even paint that much. Like, I mean, it looks like it, but like whenever I was like in my prime, I guess like 2019, I was like painting like once a week. I wasn't like going out like that.
The thing is, it's the spots that you do.
Yeah.
You see like 3 roof spots. If you're chilling downtown, you see 3 roof spots. In the mind, you just saw like 30 things.
Yeah.
But you just only saw 3 things. But since they were crazy climb spots, that you think that you saw more.
Yeah, I guess, and I guess that's that. Like looking back at it, I'm like, oh shit, like that's what happened. But like at the time, I was like, man, like I'm not really like that. I can't go out every night. I have work in the morning. Let's just, and Sato was the one I was like, yo, come on, like let's fucking go. He's out every night, and I was like, dude, like, I can't, but maybe like next week. But yeah, just I guess yeah. Looking back at it now, I remember like going to work and seeing my spot get flicked, and I was like, nice. The one spot I paint gets flicked. I got lucky. But then it happened with every spot. It was like, okay, well that spot got flicked. So it was like every spot I did actually did get flicked, which is like, to me, I felt like it was cheating. And I didn't think it was exactly a proportionate like showcase, but I'm really grateful for it. And like, I guess like to give myself credit, like I guess they were good spots, and like I guess they are flick worthy, and like I am happy about how things turned out for sure.
So have you gotten chased at all?
No.
What?
That's crazy.
Yeah. I hate running. I don't want to run. Like, I guess I've been lucky, and that's the thing. I don't really paint street side much. I didn't start painting street side till like this year, or like, I might have dabbled around a little bit, like, in 2019.
Yeah, I don't really know. I've seen like I saw one where you like it was like maybe half of a gate.
Yeah.
And someone did it on top, but just like little shit here and there. Nothing like boom, fucking.
Yeah, like
it's all high, which is funny because I don't know. I personally think that higher is maybe riskier just because like although it's sometimes harder to see, if they do see you, where do you go? Exactly.
And that's the thing is there is like a lot of trade-offs, and I feel like you get in more trouble if you're caught on a roof than if you are like painting a roll down, because you're now it's kind of, it looks like you're doing a burglary thing. And it's like people inside, like when you're on the fire escape, like I've looked into people's windows and they're just there watching Netflix on their laptops and they can't see me, thank God. But like I'm just like,
They might think you're a burglar and try to shoot you.
Exactly.
Like if I saw someone on my shit,
I'd be fucking.
No, I'd be like, yo, what is this? You know?
Yeah.
I've heard stories of people getting charged for like terrorism because of like explosive materials. They would just throw whatever they want because they weren't, the cops weren't in the mood. So they just like try to find anything they could.
Exactly.
Which wasn't graffiti. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're on a roof with no escape plan, you're pretty fucked. Like I don't know how you're gonna get out of that. Like
Well, what can your escape plan possibly be?
I always try and escape through the building.
Well, that's like one of two options, right?
That's one of two options.
The other one is just jump off the shit.
Scale
down it.
Run across a bunch of buildings and hopefully.
Like Spider-Man style.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's an end to it.
There's been a lot of funny stories, with just like, I don't know. One time, like me and Sato were hiding underneath like a patio because we were going through backyards, and this dude comes out smoking a cigarette like literally right above us. He's like literally a few inches, like it's like like a metal patio. He's like right there, and Sato coughs, and the dude just pauses, and he just stares out, flicks a cigarette, went back in, and we're good. But like, man,
He probably was like, I'm not gonna look down because there's gonna be two gremlin motherfuckers under my patio, and I'm gonna get really scared.
Yeah, luckily the dude looked pretty cool. Like he looked like a skater dude. Like he had, toy machine boards on his walls, and I was like, yeah, this guy doesn't give a fuck. But at the same time, like he doesn't want to know like two people like right, underneath him. But that was scary as shit. But no, I've never got chased. But like, here's the thing: it's like, I mean, I've been chased, but just not in New York. I don't like it, and try and minimize, risk whenever I go out and paint for reward. And like I think now I'm starting to paint more street side, but it's because like now I have more friends to have lookouts. Before I was painting alone a lot and with Sato and like just us, and so we didn't have like proper lookouts, and like I don't know, I just didn't want to paint street side, or at least I wasn't comfortable with it until now. So yeah.
The cool thing about like painting Manhattan, I feel like, is a lot of the spots like downtown, if you're painting street side, a lot of the people who are walking around don't necessarily live there.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily care if you're painting their neighborhood. If you go somewhere like some neighborhood in South Brooklyn where everyone lives there, they know the owner of that business.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna run into like way more heroes there.
Exactly, and that's the thing is like if you're painting street side, I feel like it's best to just have as many people as possible around you. So if I was to paint street side, I would go earlier, like Saturday, like 8 p.m. to like, like when it's popping and shit. And when there's tons of cars, and if a cop does pull up on me, getting away is just like run a few blocks and just hang out with other people and just fit in. But yeah, I would never, or I mean I have, but like I feel like painting street side late at night and during the sketchy hours, and it's just like
bad idea.
It's doable. I definitely do it a lot, but it's just like, it's just like, you might get rolled up on, you're fucked, I don't know.
Do you think 8 p.m. is better?
Well, it depends on the situation. Depends on the street. If it's like a main street, I would rather do it earlier with lots of traffic and people. But I don't know. Like sometimes I'm just not out at 8 p.m. Like I'm just like doing something else. And I just like mentally tell myself, okay, I'm not gonna paint till like 1 a.m. tonight, and that's like, it's just like a habit, I guess. But
I was gonna ask, like, do you prefer painting alone or with people? Because like Scuff has that interview, like graffiti separates us from like the average person. Like in sort of a way, like graffiti is like a personal like escape.
Yeah, for sure.
I was gonna ask, like, what does graffiti mean to you, or like, do you prefer painting alone with it?
Yeah, I love painting alone for sure, but I also love painting with friends. I don't want to be like total like antisocial like homie. But when I first moved here, it was alone or with Sato because that's all. I didn't have any friends, and like I don't know. But painting alone's cool because you have the whole spot to yourself, and you can go as big as you want and be in control of the situation. And there is like that certain high you get when you're painting alone. It's like, this is really relaxing. I kind of like this. When you're painting with a homie, it's also sick because you're with a homie. It's like, I'm with my friend. Like I'm going out, we're having fun. you know, and we're in this together. But at the same time, I'm also like, man, this is my spot and shit hits the fan. I'm gonna feel really bad if we both get robbed. Like, but I don't know. They both have their pros and cons for sure. Me personally, like, I'm not very social. I'm actually hella shy. Like, coming on this interview, I was like, fuck, like, I'm fucking nervous. But like, yeah, like, it takes a while to warm up to people for me, but eventually I do. But yeah, meeting people scares the shit out of me. So probably like, I don't paint with too many people. But I feel like this year and last year I've made a lot of friends, and we've been going out, and yeah.
Yeah. So you think you mainly just started painting in New York because of Sato?
Yeah, I would say so, and like also because job shit didn't work out.
So what was the job shit?
So I was like, I'm not gonna go into specific company names, but I was trying to be like a fucking producer at some media company, you know, doing like video shit and documentation. I love filming skateboard videos. It's like was like my main thing in high school. It's not my main thing anymore, but I would like for it to be at least. But at the time, I was like, I just got this job at this media company. It wasn't like the video shit. It was something else. It was more relative to, I guess, like the degree and the background I have. But I was trying to move my way into the video shit. And the video thing didn't work out because I think I was just rushing the process. Like, at the company, I like won a reward, and I was like, I think this is gonna work. I think people really fuck with my vision, and I'm gonna ignore my current job and just try and move as quickly as possible into the position I want. Like chase my dream type shit. And I got shut down real quick. I got, I guess, quote unquote, laid off, but I guess fired is a more appropriate feeling for me. And at that moment, I was like, well, this sucks. And I think I went to Barcelona right afterwards and made a graffiti video with all my best friends and my crew. And I was like, well, you know what? I had a lot of fun making this graffiti video. And I think at the end of the day, like, I don't have to work for a company to do what I love to do. And here I am just doing what I want to do. But that's like the first set of chain of events that kind of just snowballed into doing more graffiti in New York. Because traveling to Barcelona and doing graffiti, like, I wasn't scared of that, you know. I mean, I kind of was, but it was like New York. When I got back to New York, I was still like,
they have a really good graffiti scene.
Yeah,
it's honestly like, grilled. The highways,
yeah.
From the moment you leave the airport, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, yeah, fucking traveling and doing graffiti is like the sickest shit, and like I definitely feel unstoppable. But living in the city and painting where I live, it's like a different mentality. It just feels like now it interferes in my life more. Yeah, and eventually, I don't know, yeah, it took a while for me to warm up to New York City and be like, okay, let's go paint, you know.
Yeah, so that's why when you came here, you didn't know anyone, because you straight up only came here for a job.
Yeah, pretty much. I had like a few friends, for sure, like, but it wasn't like, I don't know. I guess I just felt alone because leaving like my hometown.
Yeah, where you know everything, you know everyone.
Yeah, and just like a new place. It's New York City, scary as shit. Not really, but like, you know, for graffiti at least. Yeah, I didn't understand it. So, yeah. How
did you say your experience has been like just living here when you first got here versus how it is now?
Yeah, it's sick now. Like, a lot of my skateboarder friends have moved here, and now it's great. And I've made a lot of new friends, and, you know, I actually really like people here, and everyone's really great, actually. At first, I felt the opposite. I was like, everyone's here is fucking fake. I don't like anyone here. But that's not true. I was obviously being biased and just, you know, bummed out. I mean, it's true to a certain extent, but, like, we all are. But, yeah, like, now it's like I love it. I never want to leave. So, yeah.
So you have no plan. What are you doing? You don't have to go into specifics, but, like, for a job. So you were on here trying to chase your dreams, and it kind of seems like you gave up on that and started writing graffiti more. What are you doing now in terms of like career and money wise?
Yeah, so now I'm just unemployed, you know, sponsored by the U.S. government, state and federal. It's great, but I deserve it. I've been paying a lot of taxes, so I needed this, honestly. But yeah, right now I'm unemployed and I'm trying to figure it out. I have no idea. Like, I've been actually pretty unmotivated this year. Like, I've been just chilling.
I mean, how can you be motivated? I mean, in terms of like, you're getting free money.
Yeah.
And then you're just painting
Yeah.
graph and chilling and making videos and.
Yeah, I'm I'm not even making video. Like I was supposed to be making hella skate videos, and I made one last year. But then like I don't know. Me and my friends just maybe I can't blame them too much. But I don't know. Like yeah, COVID happened, and then I like dipped out for a sec. Actually, I got a girlfriend. I'm chilling, comfy with her. We actually went to Montana for like months, and just kind of. I actually wasn't in New York City for most of 2020, and then like I don't know. Like it just skate vibes were like low because I guess it's like a pandemic, and we're just out here just existing. And for a minute I think it's good to stop being on this wave of I have to be productive every day, like I have to make what's the next video, whereas before like that's all I was doing was just like what am I going to make next. But now it's like I don't want to make anything, I just want to chill.
You never thought about like making like merchandise with like your throwaway or something? Because in a way it's already iconic. Like a lot of people in New York City know who you are. Yeah, I think you could honestly make some money off like canvases or something.
People around the world. I mean, there's no debating. Maybe obviously not on some like OG legend shit like VFR or like any of these people like that. But the moment that you're on a thing like Carnage, we could like not say anything about it, but clearly, that's like. Everyone follows that. If you're interested in graffiti around the world, like you follow that, and people really pay attention to that shit. Like the kids who follow that around the world, they see it. If you're up on that, it doesn't matter. Like they'll think that, like it's like part of this like exclusive little club and shit like that.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it much. That's the problem with me. Is like I completely just kept graffiti like as like a thing where I'm like let's just go do it like skating, but I never really thought about making merch or even capitalizing on it, which I feel like I really need to because I'm so poor right now. Unemployment's actually not enough. But yeah, I think the truth is that I never really felt or saw myself in that light. I mean, like I got hints, like when people like would talk to me, and it was definitely like it made me feel good. But I think intrinsically I never felt that way. I was like, I actually didn't put in that much work. Like like there are so many amazing writers in New York City that put in so much more work than me, and all over the world too, where I'm just like, damn, like, and they're never gonna get talked about, or like people just don't talk about them. But like, yeah, in some aspect, like I do feel like, actually I have put in work, and maybe I could take it to the next step, and but I think the truth is I'm not actually really fully satisfied with like how much work I put in. I feel like I've lived there for 3 years. I went pretty hard for 1 year, and I'm kind of trying to get back more to where at that point now this year. I feel like I still have a long way to go before I can like say, yeah, I fucking killed it, New York City.
No, of course, yeah. I mean,
but,
like 1 year is essentially nothing. Like people do this shit for like in New York for fucking 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And still don't make merch.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I'm like baffled how people go all city. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how do these fools go all city? I'm like, all near Williamsburg Bridge area, with a radius of 0.5 miles. Fuck, man. But nah, like definitely, like I definitely was going through a moment in 2019. I had a huge quarter life crisis, and I was going kind of crazy in it, sorta. But yeah, I don't know. I still want to go harder before I like really, dip into that stuff. But I guess right now I'm like thinking maybe I should fucking do the shit. I should fucking.
Are you currently painting right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not really actually. This winter, not really. I've been snowboarding a lot, so I really like snowboarding, and I've been just like fucking being in the mountains and shit and doing that, and I found a lot of new snowboarder friends, and I've just been like happy with that. But I think me and Volvo painted like a few nights ago, and that was sick. And also scary. So yeah, I think now it's like time to get back into the shit, time to fucking start looking for good spots and start plotting on how can I one-up myself from a few summers ago. And yeah.
Do you ever do more than one climb spot a night?
Yeah, but not really. When I think Volvo wants to paint multiple spots a night. That's really sick, but Not really. I only planned like one spot a night. Like if I got done at like 1 a.m., I'm like, yes, I get to go home and sleep. It wasn't like, oh, let's keep going. Like, that mentality is very new to me. So, yeah, I don't know. Like it was always one spot a night until like recently. Now it's been like, okay, let's keep painting until like we're tired, especially in the summer. So yeah.
No, I think you're definitely painting New York City correctly, like in terms of longevity and like the spots you're hitting.
Yeah.
I think like, you know, there could be someone that just paints gates, for example, for 5 years and goes all city, and then like the buff goes through, and then like a new kid coming up, they might not even know about him. But like you maybe painting for a shorter period of time, hitting high spots that are harder to buff. People are like, oh shit, I know him. Like he's up. Like that's just been there probably for like 20 years. Who knows? You know.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
So
like
it's pretty sick.
Fucking, you know, I didn't mean it to be that way. I was just like kind of like, man, I'm just gonna climb these spots because it's like I'll have more time to paint, and I feel like people won't see me. But at the same time, like I started realizing these spots are running for months and years, and I'm like, what the fuck? What's wrong with this place? Because you know, in Texas they buffed every week. There was many occasions where I would paint a spot, like, and I would drive to go get flicks like the next day, like pretty early in the morning, and it's gone. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Okay.
New York's buff is really sick.
Yeah, it's
how like borderline compared to other places doesn't
know.
exist.
I don't understand it.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And the truth is, I think it's because so many people paint here, and there's a nice community, and they just can't keep up. That's why New York is so sick. Whereas Texas, you know, it was only like 10 of us at a time, like 2 crews, 5 of us in each crew, just going in, and the buff was like, these kids, like, fuck them. They can't win. Like, yo, we're the buff.
Isn't it crazy that a major city like Austin can only have 10 active riders?
I know. Well, Austin had a little bit more riders than Houston.
Oh, is Houston the one that had 5 and 5?
Yeah. Well, that's not necessarily true. I'm exaggerating.
Yeah.
But there weren't, like, it wasn't like that much, at least in my time period. I'm sure, okay, Houston has a crazy history of graffiti that is, you know, that is super sick, actually. But whenever I started doing graffiti, it wasn't like that. That generation had moved on. Like, Next started crushing New York and all over the country and Detroit and whatever. And so, but growing up, seeing Houston getting crushed was awesome. And there was way more people. But when I started, it was like me and my 5 friends and, you know, the other crew that, you know, yeah, they went in too. They went probably, you know, they were doing it way longer than we were, and like that's just how it was. There's just not many of us. Austin was a different story for sure. Every kid that was, because I guess Austin has a more out scene, you know, like fucking they're into more like, what's the word? I don't want to say hip, but you know, art shit. They're into art shit. They're art kids with like art families, and yeah, graffiti was like, it's like an art thing, and so they just do it, you know. So more kids in Austin do graffiti, or at least that's what I felt like, you know.
For the Canal Street spot that we were talking about, how did you get up onto that one? Did you climb up just the front?
No, I had to go horizontal for a sec. I like just walked up this, you know, stoop and then climbed onto some awnings and went horizontal up into the temple, and then like.
What do you mean by you went horizontal?
Like, you know, like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, along the x-axis of a graph, just just climb sideways and then drop down onto the fucking billboard. And I was like, all right, if some shit happens, I'm climbing up this billboard. It's like a ladder. I'm gonna fucking hide in a temple or some shit. But luckily it didn't happen, and it was chill. And I pulled it off in like a minute or two, like just real scared and shook. But it looked all right, you know.
It's crazy because like you said, it's still there. How long ago did you do that? Like a year?
Yeah, like 2 years ago.
That's
almost
insanity.
Man, I wish I didn't do chrome. By the time I was like, I only have to do monochrome because that's like the brand of Lot29. If you look at the airbrush shirts, it's like a lot of monochrome. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can't do so I'm an idiot, and I did chrome and copper, and it looks fine, but like I feel like I didn't hear about the thing where like chrome didn't carry as much weight as like black and white. I didn't get that memo until like I heard about it later. So now I feel like an idiot, but it's there. Fuck it, you know.
How often do you clean trains?
Oh shit, I don't do those at all.
Because I saw on your story on the.
Oh yeah.
It was like so that wasn't you?
Nope, that wasn't me.
Oh shit, I figured it was.
I don't do those, but it's all good. Don't worry. No, I've traveled in pain though, for sure. How often do I do it? Not as often. It's definitely not my focus. But the reason why is because not enough people do them. I feel like if more people did them, it'd be really sick. And in a way, in my heart, I definitely feel like that was like the true essence of graffiti. Um, so it's definitely like, yeah, I only go travel to like countries that aren't very strict about it and do them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just like I don't want to go to jail for a long time. I want to I want to like pursue my dreams, whatever that means. Basically, just be a part of this stupid capitalist system and not actually live my true dreams. But you know what I mean, like you know, yeah. But
No,
yeah.
So you were talking about like AI and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you're saying about like I want to live my dreams, not be a part of the stupid capitalist system.
Yeah.
How do you think that AI is gonna change the essence of like capitalism in the world we live in?
Oh, I mean, if the plan goes to plan, it should be pretty utopic. We should be able to do whatever we want for the rest of our lives, and man, I don't even know where to start. Like, fucking.
I guess let's start like for people who are maybe not as understanding of like the AI taking over shit idea is like the idea that AI is essentially just going to replace humans one at a time, but not in a way that people think of like iRobot, us versus you, like we're gonna kill each other type shit, but in a way where it's like where we once needed cashiers, now we don't, but then it becomes where we once needed like let's say a janitor, now we don't, and slowly but surely no longer do humans have to do mundane jobs, and because those are all taken care of. So basically our basic needs are taken care of, and now we can do shit that's creative. Like if I like to design bottles, like glass bottles, or if I like to design fucking whatever, or if I don't like to design anything and I like to just chill on my ass and play Call of Duty, like you can, because all of our needs are taken care of, from the food that we make to even almost all of healthcare.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of the idea we're talking about. And what do you think?
Yeah. All right. So that's like all of it right there. But yeah, I used to work at an AI company and shit, and so I am pretty biased about it. I want my listeners to know that I am biased about it, and that it could go many ways. But the whole thing is this: is that a long time ago in the 1800s, these old dudes who were really smart. One of them was Karl Marx, but a lot of old dudes who were really smart were like, look, eventually capitalism is going to run its course, and at some point, technology will allow us to produce enough things to where society can run itself. And yeah, they were talking about technology, like Moore's law, and how things just exponentially get more, technological and automated. And for a long time, people looked at it as a bad thing. And the truth is that it did kind of play out as a bad thing. Like whenever robots took over people's jobs in the car factory with laborious work, when they outsourced blue collar jobs, like now a lot of blue collar workers were not protected and they lost their jobs and they couldn't make a living. And a lot of towns, eventually collapsed. And now they're saying that AI is going to outsource white collar jobs. Like now they could start to think sentiently and take over white collar jobs like financial analysts and even lawyers, definitely accountants and even software engineers. So where does that leave us humans to do any kind of job? And that's like kind of like everyone just runs into the dead end. And the ultimate answer is, well, wait a minute, we're not even supposed to be fucking doing jobs in the first place. Like we're like programmed to just vibe and chill in nature and eat and shit, like we weren't trying to actually. When did we ever like start thinking about, oh, I gotta go and work in a bank or do all this shit and whatever the capital structure of society is? And yeah, so they predicted that, okay, well, if all the jobs are now outsourced by robots and computers, like what's that mean? Like how are people going to produce and like just like buy things, and like how are they gonna make money, blah blah blah. And the truth is that, well, if the computers are doing all the work, well then we need then there has to be an output. And what's that output? Is, I think the answer to that's universal income. And yeah, like really it's come to a point where society can sustain itself and we don't have to do anything. And people are like, well, I like working, I want to work, like it gives me a purpose. And the truth is, well, you can still work, but you can work on what you want to work. You could be creative and be a human being and do what you want to do. And like, who knows, like that's definitely better for society. I think like if people weren't so fixated at their one job, they could do what they want and come up with solutions to bigger problems in the world. Like maybe like some kid didn't have to fucking be an engineer at an X company, and instead he used his engineering skills to create something else, that some kind of software or whatever, or technology that even benefits even more, you know? And yeah, like
About like the decrease of blue collar jobs where these people get outsourced and shit like that. Isn't there the argument that like, so some people say like, oh, when like AI comes in, it takes away a bunch of jobs, but isn't that thought process like those people who say that more or less think that there's, let's say, a fixed number of jobs. Like there are 100 jobs, so if AI takes 20 of them, now there's only 80. But it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
Because there's infinite jobs. It's a matter of like, we're making these shits up as we go along.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like shit gets dirty, I guess we need a cleaner now. Oh, like cleaner guy wants like a massage on his feet, now we need a massage person. There's always going to be something that it's just about like our creativity. And we can, I guess, we meaning like, I don't know, the people on top can choose which ones to outsource and which to not. But in reality, I think that if the brute force ones that everyone more or less hates doing got outsourced, why would that? I mean, there'd be a problem in the beginning in like the shift of changes when like in that middle ground where there's a gap where like we don't have a system to protect these people. But if we can see it coming, which we kind of seems like we can, we could probably, you know what I mean? Like right now, how many people just like outside of AI, how many people's jobs just went to thin air?
To shit. Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of people are still, like most people, I think, are still protected in some sort of way. You know what I mean? So I don't think that it necessarily has to be like the worst thing in the world.
Exactly. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just more like, you know, identity and stuff, which I think I want to put graffiti in this perspective for a sec. That graffiti is like the reason why, like I could actually live my life and do what I want to do and not make money because it's purely intrinsic. I don't make money from graffiti, and like be happy. And the job thing, like obviously capitalism sells us the job thing, whereas be what you want to be and make, and you'll be successful and you'll make money. That to me is bullshit. And like, yeah, it's true, but like it's also like kind of mass advertised to get you to just be a wage slave or some kind of just part of the system and whatever, you know. So I think people are very conditioned to want to work and to do these things, not because they're chasing their dreams, but I don't know, they think they're chasing their dreams, and if that's taken away from them, then their whole life is taken away from them. And I think people just need to chill, find another outlet, and think about things a little differently, because at the end of the day, like there's a lot of flaws, and we don't.
A lot of flaws in what?
In like just like power and capitalism, and people don't see these things because, you know, I don't know. It's hard for me to explain.
So if AI did what we're saying that hopefully it does, you're saying that we wouldn't have a capitalist structure anymore?
Yeah, capitalism would get flopped on its head. And that's the reason why it hasn't happened, is because people in power don't want it to happen. I mean, think about it. Like, how can you possibly be a billionaire or, you know, have power when now you've given people so much power? You have to keep people under control. You have to keep them to be wage slaves. You know, people have to work for you, and they have to worship you. You have to have them worship you and work for you. There's no way, like, even though they predicted that capitalism would run itself, like, if you had the power, like, you wouldn't let that happen. Like, and that's why we're not running ourselves there. Like, we're only supposed to be working a few hours a week in productivity, not few, but like 10 or 20 or some shit. Instead of working like at least 40, and for most people it's 60 to 80. So it's actually getting worse, you know? The work and like everything is becoming less rewarding. Like, obviously our system is failing. Like, cost of living has gone up, but wages have stayed the same. Like, that doesn't sound, you know, that sounds a bit weird from an economic standpoint. Like, it's not supposed to be that way. And it's because politics and billionaires and people who don't, you know, people who are in control, the elite class, obviously want that not to happen. They want the opposite to happen. They want to get rich and even more rich, and they want us to be even more poor and productive at the same time. And I have my crazy conspiracy theories for sure, but yeah, I mean,
No, I know this is from my experience also because I work in the construction industry, and like, for example, when I was non-union, because I'm a plumber, I was like, wow, this really sucks. Like all these people are super depressed. Like they hate their jobs. They're working their ass off. Like no breaks. Like for the man, you know. I'm like, when I get into the union, like I heard it's chill. Like that's the top. Like it's utopia. Like the best thing ever. Like it's just ideal working conditions, you know. And then I got in, and 4 years later, I'm realizing like these people are super numb to like their job. Like they don't want to be there every single day. Sure. And I think it's just in my head. I'm like, oh, I'm just looking at the negative side of it. But these people clearly tell me that they dread it. Like Monday comes, they're like, oh fuck, Monday. And then they're like, oh, Friday, yes, Friday, finally. Like it's the best thing ever. And it's just like a cycle, you know. So it makes you think like, yo, if like so many people consistently feel this way, like there must be something wrong. I don't think it's just the people, you know what I mean? So like the whole system should, I feel like we're not meant to work 40 hours a week doing something that we genuinely don't want to be doing, because these people I work with, they have passions that they gave up because they have a job and they have to take care of their families. They don't have any other choice. And there's like not enough time in the day to pursue creative like things, you know. Like I'm lucky like I don't have children, I don't have a wife or a house or a mortgage to like, you know, devote all my time to, or like, you know, I don't have no time for myself. But now I have this because I don't have those things. But those people, they're grown ass people, and you know, they don't have no time for themselves. They like give up on their physical bodies, they give up on their mental. Like it's just like, it's kind of depressing, honestly. Like, and it's like the capitalist system that you're talking about.
Just like fuck being healthy and just work your ass off so that you could eat healthy foods, afford healthy foods. Dude, it's so weird. But people don't see it that way. And
So you think that capitalism is a more so negative thing? Because if you do look at the history of capitalism, it has been one of the main causes to bring the majority of the world out of like straight up abject poverty, and like it has changed a lot of things for the better. And when you compare it to the other systems that exist, like maybe socialism or communism, and you look at all the countries that have tried everything, and then the countries that have tried capitalism are always far better off. It depends what lens you look at it, but like there are some ways that you can just almost with absolute truth say like this one was better off. And I think that like the bottom line is like we're just humans, so we don't have this like perfect system that just works. So everyone, there's how many people living per country, of course the system will favor some and not others. And like there's like an argument that like capitalism is the reason that we've had so much innovation, the reason that like this technology that is bringing about AI has even become a thing, because we put value on something that doesn't have value. But as long as everyone believes it does, humans will work so hard and innovate new things to accumulate that thing, which is money, then leading to shit like AI that can one day maybe bring us out of this, like the system we're currently in, hopefully for something better. But I'm sure that in that system that right now we've just painted as really amazing, which is AI, like AI working for us, and like basically they're our slaves, but they don't have like sentient
they're
consciousness, so they're chilling. Like it doesn't matter if they're our slaves. Like there's gonna be bad shit with that too.
There is,
like some people might fucking hate it and be like, robots run our world, and we're here like that would be the best thing ever, but it's because we don't live in it. You know what I mean? Like who knows? I'm sure that on paper, the person who made up this capitalist shit was like, yo, this is gonna be amazing. Like you could literally work like. Capitalism makes a system where you can work like making art, because art, like you need to have to be able to sell that to someone, and you have to have a lot of value on money. You can work like making your own little business selling furniture or shit like that wouldn't otherwise be able to happen. But I'm sure that the people who like wrote that on paper didn't think to themselves like millions of fucking construction workers betrayed by life. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard, and that's the thing, is that capitalism is actually super necessary. But at the same time, socialism is super necessary to maintain capitalism. Because if you don't regulate capitalism, then it's going to go ashore. Because in capitalism, there's a winner and there's a loser. There's not many winners. It's probably just one winner. And it's not a level playing field at all. But even if it was, there's still going to be a winner. So essentially, it sounds like counterproductive, but in order to make capitalism healthy and to be even more productive, you gotta regulate cheaters and people who want to use capitalism for bad and for their own good. So I think the best model to look at are certain European countries. I guess it sounds so cliche, and it's not going to work for our system. But you know, all these European countries use hybrid systems that maintain progressive technology that capitalism produces. You know, just the productivity that they can make and the wonderful things that they could do with capitalism, but at the same time, you know, uphold that to like to make sure it doesn't end up being like unregulated capitalism, like, you know, there's like my old economics professor was like Russia capitalism, you know, where it's like, yeah, man, like they really do all kinds of business meetings out there, like not, they don't play by the rules, like you could get assassinated, you know, things like that, just like where like there's influences that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It should be a more fair game, but in a lot of places it's not. So, and yeah, for me, especially growing up in an immigrant family that came from Vietnam, my parents hated communism. Like, they were not about it. The communists took everything from them. And I don't like literally, like, communism became the ultimate evil that said it wouldn't become, because, yeah, like, that's just how it played out. It sucks, but it didn't really work out. And Vietnam is more capitalist than we are. And very few people there are very rich, and most of the people there are starving. And that, on paper, is much worse than what it is in America. So I'm super grateful to be, you know, living the life that we live here. But at the same time, like, damn, like, there's a lot of, it's not black and white, and there's a lot of things that shouldn't have happened that happened. And I don't know.
Yeah, you said this thing that reminded me of something that I read, and you said that in a capitalist society there are winners and there are losers. But I just have like a thought on that that's kind of different. I think that there's a difference between there being winners and being losers, and then there being everyone well off and almost at this like bare minimum of evenness, and then like where everyone's essentially like a king of the past.
Yeah.
Because like it's funny. So what I read was essentially that in capitalism, of course, this is a very biased view of like what I read, but in capitalism, everyone wins because if rich man A makes iPhone, he wins because he makes a bunch of money, and now everyone has iPhone.
Yeah.
So now everyone has something that gives them infinite entertainment and knowledge and communication with the outside world for very cheap compared to, you know how. This is like an advanced computer of the past. You would have to be a millionaire, billionaire to have this thing. But since man A made it possible for everyone to have it, then like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like everyone wins, or someone makes a transit system because they want to have money in their pocket. He wins because he gets money in his pocket or her pocket. And then everyone else wins because we have now free transportation. I mean, it's not free, but like it could be free very easily.
Just a betterment of society.
Yeah, and you like $2.75 to get anywhere you want. It's a betterment of everyone just won. And I'm not saying I'm not like pro-capitalism. I'm just like devil's advocate.
We have to bring up these topics because I forget to bring them up, and like there are explanations to them.
Yeah. Sure. And like I'm just thinking like. You know, of course there's winners and there's losers, but I just think, me personally, maybe I'm biased, but that's like a part of life. Like. We're not born into even situations, and even if AI comes along, there are motherfuckers who are still gonna have to like do some crazy shit, and they're gonna be like, "How is 99% of the world chilling, and I have to do this crazy shit?" Yeah, I don't think that there's a system where everyone is equal, and if it is, I think the world will just literally explode. No, because it's just not meant to happen.
It's not realistic at all. Also, though, like it's super dog eat dog out there, but at the same time, in order to uphold these systems of capitalism. Like, I also think, for example, how can I explain? I have it pictured in my mind. Like, for example, a country is better off when most people are working. It's better off when it's most productive. That everyone has, you know, some sort of motivation, some sort of drive, some sort of way of like, you know, like how can I make like this country, essentially like my family, better? Like everyone has to do something. Now, what happens if, like, for example, something happens where only a few of those people in that country have the power to not have people to come up with these awesome ideas that could create the new iPhone. What if this one guy was like, well, I'm going to create the iPhone, but everyone else is not, and I'm going to make sure everyone doesn't. And so essentially what happens is I'm gonna compare countries, for example. So one country's going to make one iPhone, and it's just like, okay, well, here's one iPhone, and everyone benefits from it. But wouldn't it be better if like everyone had the opportunity to make the iPhone, but they don't. They make other things. So let's like dive into education real quick, because I feel like it can paint a better picture. Let's talk about privatized education and public education. In America, it costs a lot of money to go to college, and to go to a good college where like jobs will want to hire you, and like where you can get good resources to make cool things. And so in a way, it's like in America, it's like, okay, so y'all, like, if you want to like go to these really cool schools and like really good places, like you gotta have a lot of money, and if you don't, well, you're gonna have to be really, really excellent.
You have to really, yeah.
Yeah. But in Germany, it's actually, so in America, it's harder to get into these private schools.
Yeah.
That are really elite, and they cost a lot of money. In Germany, it's actually the opposite. And the private schools like cost a lot of money, and the public schools cost no money. But it's harder to get into the public schools, because in Germany's eyes, they're like, well, you can get a better education in a public school because we actually want to invest in our people. We want to invest in all our students to make cool things and to create cool technologies. In the private school, well, that's just the schools for like where the kids who have money, who still want to go to school, but they didn't actually get into like the good school, you know? Mm. And so they think of it like that. Whereas America, it's like, oh, well, if you want to get into like a sick school, like you gotta think about yourself and how much money you can make afterwards. We're gonna sell you this idea where if you go to this good school, you're gonna get a good job and you're gonna make a lot of money for yourself. Whereas in Germany, it's like, hey, like we want to really invest in y'all and work in our companies, and here is free, awesome education. If you can get in, sick. Like we're gonna really focus on you, and you're gonna make the betterment of like total collective. And so yeah, it's like it's kind of backwards. And what's going on is in America, it's like the reality is rich people just want to keep people rich, like themselves rich. They don't want poor people to come up. Like their objective and around academics in general is to keep rich people rich and poor people poor. And in the whole macro scheme, it's a lot better when the whole country has resources and education and to have the drive to make things and want to do things. Whereas in America, it's actually quite limited to a few people, to a couple privileged people, and the majority of the lower class, middle class people are just kind of just pawns and, you know, laborers, and I don't know. Mm-hmm. But American capitalism has been pretty crazy. Like a lot of crazy things have come out of America that are very innovative. And in my opinion, it's because like our way of capitalism's pretty fucking crazy that we're able to just pull off the gnarliest shit. People are just
like
so...
what?
Let's see. Like, I guess, like, let's think about, like, subcultures for a second. You know, like, subculture didn't come out of Europe. That came out of here.
Yeah.
It's because we're fucking crazy, and we come from, like, these gnarly, like, circumstances. And people were able to make a positive thing out of a negative thing. You know, that's just one example.
How come you think, like, hardcore graffiti, skateboarding, hip-hop
skateboarding
didn't come out of, like, communist Vietnam?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like... Well, I don't want to say Vietnam because they were in another world, trying to keep it in like the Western hemisphere for a sec. And yeah, I just think it's because, you know, we've had so much like weird power authoritarian structures that like suppress people, that like I feel like suppressed people have nothing else to lose, and we kind of just make nothing out of, we make something out of nothing. And it's to fight these systems, you know. Graffiti is a very, very anarchist, you know, art form. Like, we don't like government and we don't like authority, and we're gonna do it because like we want to do it, but a part of it's just also saying fuck the system. And yeah, it's gonna be a big thing, and then eventually it's gonna get commercialized, and now it's super profitable and people can make money off of it, and it's actually like sustainable in our system. And I'm just like, well, like I would have never predicted that. But like, I mean, that's just like honestly, it's like a really bad example. But
what if, like, in terms of AI, let's say that, you know, graffiti writers get around police because in a way they're human.
Yeah.
Like, what if AI, they put out these like superhuman, like super Vandal Squad bots?
Oh, shit.
Like, essentially graffiti would dissipate in a way because like it would be a crazy mission to even catch a tag, you know, if like they're scanning the area and like drones will fucking snatch you up and throw you in like bookings, you know. So what do you think of that? Like, if AI would
I mean, they already have the technology to do that.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's even like an AI. I mean, it is an AI thing. We've been using AI for a minute. But yeah, we're fucked. I don't know. I think we'll figure it out, you know?
I think if AI gets to that level, that means AI is pretty accessible.
Yeah.
So I can have my own little like AI button where I like shut off a whole
Right.
field of motherfuckers that are chilling.
Yeah. I don't know. You know what? I'm not going to discredit the people who think AI is going to be a bad thing. I think they're valid as fuck because I don't think people in power will use AI for good. I think that's all bullshit. I know this because the CEO of the AI company that I worked for was heavily invested into defense and oil and drilling and things that weren't what I would hope to imagine that AI could do good for. And yeah, I don't know, like, yeah, for sure. It's definitely very possible that one day we could live in an authoritarian system where robot cops are way stronger and smarter and faster, and they have capabilities that we don't have, and will completely stop us from doing anything bad outside of the system.
I mean, like, that's the thing. That's the thing. One of the things about AI is that it's not what if we live in a world where AI this, or what if we live in a world where robot that. It's what if we live in a world where the people who control AI are stupid or immoral, because they're the ones programming it.
Yeah, and
it's not like the fear of AI, it's the fear of the humans that already exist, that are already boning shit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really, like, it's not a matter of, like, what happens then. It's like, what happens now? We're in it right now. There's literally millions of humans that a lot of them are just kind of dumb or immoral. Mm-hmm. Some of these same humans are going to, be designing the AI to fit their needs. Yeah, That's the problem. It's not really, like, the thing in like, this is AI, you know, but like me using it is not a big problem. But if I'm using it to go on the black market and like sell kidneys, then like it's me the problem, not like the AI is like throw the shit out the window. You know what I mean?
It's what humans use technology to do, and technology is great and can better our lives, but humans aren't like always the best things. And I don't doubt for a second that people will use AI for the betterment of themselves and to keep people suppressed, oppressed, or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, the government and politicians, you know, they're all whack for that. Like, corporations control them, and they have an objective, and it's not for our lives to be any better. I mean, don't get me wrong, iPhones are great. I love iPhones, but damn, like, I wish there was a substitute for it. I mean, they control the whole market. Like, come on, Apple. Like, y'all are making a phone. The battery lasts not that long. Like, what's up with all like the different plugs? I know what y'all are doing. Y'all are trying to block out other phone makers so y'all can be the only one. And y'all love saving money to giving us a shittier phone.
Because they could make it borderline indestructible if they felt like it.
I just got off topic there. But AI is like hella scary for sure. It should be like good, and technology has been good. Like, I love iPhones. You know, iPhones have done a lot for me. Checking the weather and social media, and I don't know, it's got a lot of cool things. Internet, being connected, but at the same time, man, Facebook is really down to like sell my information to advertisers and shoot me ads that I do not want, and also give away my information to the government to possibly prosecute me. Like, I know they're down for that shit. And these tech lords, they say one thing, but they're really actually another thing, and I don't trust them for sure. And yeah,
it's pretty crazy that we live in a world that the thing you need to, I guess, be on top in a way is money. And via my iPhone and his computer, I could just pull some quick buttons and somehow have thousands of dollars just deposited into my account.
Yeah.
And like, you know, obviously an illegal means, but I'm saying like, this is a crazy world that we live in.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we all know people who are credit card scammers who just straight up like do nothing and just like ding, mad money falls into their account, and then that's the end of that. And it's insane.
I know, right? I got scammed once off PayPal. That was crazy. Fucking Elon Musk, man, what's good?
Have you ever been on one of those like scamming websites?
No, but
I saw one that like I know someone who's like whatever kind of into it, and it's just like a page where they show you like credit card numbers and the percentages of like how likely it will work. and how much each one cost for all the info of the credit card. And it was like, I don't know, like $1.25, maybe 20 for one that's like 90% gonna work, or like
it's
some crazy shit.
It's not that hard to breach people's information. Hacking is not what you think. It's actually really easy. You know, check your spam, you know, on your Gmail. Like, some of that shit looks pretty real. They might ask for your bank information, and you would have thought, damn, I gave away my bank information. Just, you know, there goes your money. Like, that shit, it's not that hard to do.
Yeah, and it's not even like these tech companies are unwillingly stealing this from us. Like, a lot of us are willingly giving our information, like through social media, like personal information, like from where we live to who we live with, from our pets to like where we work, like everything. Like, you know, so it's not only like, you know, the big brother taking our shit. It's you know, a lot of us are just got so comfortable, and since a lot of people are doing it, we just willingly just like connect our bank accounts to every little thing.
Yeah, we were duped. You know, and that's why I don't believe in blaming the consumer. It's not the consumer's fault. It's the you know, it's the policymaker. But at the same time, it's like, no,
I'm sure it's definitely still all connected. Like, you know, it's not an accident that we've become so comfortable. You know, there's like people that have jobs that make us addicted to these things and make us comfortable to the point where we do that. You know,
it almost makes sense though, because, you know, we're just doing this podcast. Do you want people to come and listen again? Of course you do. So we're gonna make it as addictive as possible. If I had the ability to make it as addictive as possible, I would. Yeah. Because I'm not gonna say I would, but like I probably would, you know, because of course I want this, and then you'd bring that. It'll benefit us. Yeah. And you'll be on some, like, especially when it comes to bigger, more important things like making money or some shit. You'll be like, screw it, yo. If they're gonna keep coming back, do anything, and then you'll convince yourself that it's not really immoral because they're willingly. You know, in a capitalistic, there's usually like there's a lot of competition. So you could say like, oh, it's not a big deal if I'm making it addictive, because if they wanted to, like, they could listen to this one or this one instead. Yeah. So I'm good. And imagine with phones, you're gonna make so much money. You're gonna convince yourself that it's valid no matter what. Yeah. Who cares? Like, if I steal a little bit of their information off of Facebook, as long as they're not fucking jihadist terrorist groups, then it doesn't really. Why should they care? Oh, they shouldn't. So then I'll just use this to better myself. That's what they say. And you know, in a way, you could see it from that lens and be like, "Oh, it makes fucking sense. Why wouldn't you do that if you had the power to do it? In that moment, no one's looking. Fuck it. You know, that's what they're gonna say." Yeah.
But a lot of people think, like you said, themselves. Like, I remember I was talking to a family member because of the conspiracy with the vaccine and the chip in it. He's like, "I don't care. I'll take if there's a chip in it, I'll take the vaccine anyway. I have nothing to hide." Yeah. That's the mindset. You know, like, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever. Like, it's easier. Like, I'll have all my money on, like, my shit, like my ID. Like, I'll just like fucking do anything I want. It's convenient. You know, I have nothing to hide. That's the mentality. You know. Yeah.
Well, I think we're already being tracked, and we've been tracked. Fucking, it's too late, you know.
It's funny.
All eyes are on us.
People think, they're scared of the chip inside of us, but like, to get on the train, you can now scan your debit card with the chip on it. You know, to
who's got that database and
shit's crazy. I was thinking about that. I was like, what came first? Because like the idea of the chip on the debit card, or the MTA installing those little computers. You know, because essentially, I just when I got here today, I was thinking of that shit. It's interesting.
Ever since we've had an IP address, we've been tracked, and it sucks, but fuck it, just be careful. I don't know.
I have a question, like, this is just like my psychedelic mind in terms of AIs and like being sentient beings, because like for movies like iRobot, you know, like where that it started like painting portraits and like thinking for itself, and you know, like, because essentially from what I understand, AIs is just coding, right? Like the programming, so it's only like limited, you know, up until the coding that the person provides for it. Do you think that it would be possible for the AI to somehow hit me around that and like start thinking for itself?
Definitely.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. And soon too, 50 years maybe, even, you know, maybe not even. Like, there's two different types of AI. There's something called artificial narrow intelligence, which is what we use. You know, like Siri and shit. Like, they have...
Bro, that shit creeps me out.
Yeah, they have a specific function, and they learn about and they get better at it, and, you know, but it's limited to that one function. And there's something called artificial general intelligence. Acronym is AGI. And that's when shit hits the fan, like, oh, fuck, like, they could think for themselves. They're learning at a very fast rate, and they can do a lot of things, actually, and become a lot of things and have different skills and ultimately become very close to being human. Yeah, so that is a real thing and kind of scary. But
there was like there was like an AI that faced like the best chess player ever or whatever, and the first time they played, it lost. And then within a span of 4 hours, it ended up beating like the unbeatable.
Yeah.
And it beat it because it doesn't think like a human. So it can think more outside the box because it thinks in very unconventional ways. So the chess moves that it would do, the champion player had never seen them before. So he was like, why would you put that there? That makes no sense. Yeah. But this AI had learned on its own in a very non-human way to do something. So it led to like essentially just like artificial creativity.
Yeah.
And exactly. And it whipped its ass. Yeah. Like the unwhippable.
Yeah. I always thought that, if there's one thing that humans do have, it's creativity. That's why we should always do the art thing. That's why I gave up on like certain career things. I didn't want to do certain technical functions in life. But then I like started to realize, okay, you know what? Creativity can be can be coded.
It can be, because all it is the neurons in your brain, and it's like if you can make that a mathematical model and put it into a robot times 4,000. You can.
Exactly. And these computers, like their computation just gets better and better every day, and they get smaller too. These chips are really small, and they can do a lot. And we're just getting older and stupider. I feel fucking way more dumber than I did like back when I was younger. Fucking those paint fumes and stuff.
The chrome.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. Like, shit, I'm gonna fucking die soon.
Yeah, chrome is not good. I mean, no paint is good, but I know that chrome is like different level of toxin.
I know.
It's a good thing you don't do only chrome anymore.
I know. Good thing I gave up doing chrome fills. Shit was, realized that shit was totally for my health. So stick to black fills only.
Yo, thank you for coming on the show,
dude,
bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Peace.
Fuck yeah.